G'day everybody. I'm going to talk about perceptions and I'm going to bang it into a story time to help you get what I mean by perceptions and how people can get it completely wrong even though they've known you for a few years, whatever. Right? That's still not really knowing you, or they've got their opinion too much, right? Now here comes story time. Once upon a time in Howland, I've mentioned it a little bit about story time, about me stealing. And I stole some handguns. When Herb found out, I want to talk about when he found out. Right? And when he found out, he comes screaming in the room. He wasn't happy at all. He's old timer too. Right? And he comes screaming in the room, and he was unhappy about his perception of people thinking of him. Right? And what I did as well, besides what I do, goes on to him, as he had a business in town, you see. And I understood that. Right? And he come in with that, and his perception of the guns, I'm trying to keep on the perception, is a bad thing. His belief is that if you got guns around, which everyone talks about when it comes to gun laws, if you got guns around and people play with guns, they're more likely you're going to use the guns. You're going to be bad. That was his perception. And because I stole, and it was a gun too, right, at that time, that's how I see it being a bit older. As a kid, I didn't understand. Probably I only understood the punishment wasn't good, right? But I understand things when you get older, right? You work out things, and I'm telling you one now. And his perception was that I was stealing guns. Guns aren't good for you. You're going to turn out bad. And how many times have we heard that, right? And got me guns and broke them. Broke them all up. And then said to me, let's go down and see the shop owner because you're going to pay for them. And you're going to, I don't care if you pay for them again, you're going to pay for them and you're going to talk to them. You're going to say sorry. And you're going to work as well. You're going to be punished. Right? And that was my punishment. One of my punishments when I stole once, right? Near the end of me stop stealing. So these punishments sort of help, but I see that you can do certain things that will do the same thing but not be as bad. Right? And I'm going to explain that more later on, but not on this one. On to perceptions. And so that's what he did. He yelled and screamed at me, right? And said it was no good. And just like how they say TVs and all that, rot me brain, they'll be no good. Right? And that was his perception. And in the end, not long after, I still played with guns at friends' houses. The guns never went away. The only thing I suffered is I couldn't have one. And I lost my previous ones. Right? And even the ones that didn't get stolen. Right? I lost them all and I couldn't have them around anymore. Right? So I got a big punishment, didn't I? I had to learn a fucking big lesson then for a few years until I end up not being there. Huh? But while that was happening, still behind the scenes, still happens anyway, which is why it's going to be a whole other story and other ways of doing things. And I still play with guns, and the guns at school talked about it and all that. And I even started shooting real guns. Jeez. So lucky his perception didn't work out, because if it did, I'd be loving guns. The baby's flying out there. Just missed it. It's flying out there. Power line, as I said that. And I'll get a little closer so I'll help you a little bit with this phone. So when it comes to perception, it's not only just that, it was more. So if I was thinking bad things and wanting to keep doing bad things, there's more to it to get your perception to find out if a gun around them is a good thing or a bad thing. A lot of times, my gun was just to shoot. I like to just mostly shoot targets. So I wasn't running around going, what can I only shoot dead? I was more likely, what targets, I'm still not picking up the birds coming out. Listen all the time, they're coming in the other tree, just saying, they're everywhere. I was like to shoot things, as I was seeing it as self-defense. One day, it'll be a good thing, here comes something, to have some self-defense. Huh? Because that's a good thing, because other people come at you with guns, what are you now? You're nothing. You're nothing. If they're around and you can't defend from it, then you're not self-defending. You can't. You'll end up turning into the slave. You'll be the victim straight up, or you'll die because you couldn't defend from it. So to defend from guns, you need a gun, don't you? More likely, right? It's an easier way. I suppose you can do other traps and that. It depends on where you are and if you had time, right? Because you don't always need guns to kill people. But if they've got a super weapon, it'd be good if you could have a super weapon to be the same. It's got to be there. And when it comes to us being free and all the weapons and all the things that these days, we need to learn about them and have them. That's my belief, my perception. Right? and it doesn't mean they're all going to turn out bad. Right? And anyway, that's another big talk. We can go on more about that. But that was her, my stepdad's perception of it, right? And so let's move forward now. Right? And then I explained about that it didn't really matter. It wouldn't have all really mattered more likely. Right? He could be right in a 25% maybe way. I'll chuck him that. Right? Because you can say, how would you know if you didn't do that you wouldn't have played with more? But that's it. Like I said, I still did it behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. And me growing up, we can talk to you now, which helps it even more when it comes to that test, is that it's more likely not going to happen, 90% in my case. So when it comes to here, why did I want to talk about when the police pulled me out again? Because not only did I laugh and all that, because I wanted to talk about my clip, and I've never got around to it, and why we do certain things. There's a thing for everything. And it's a 50-50, and I talk about them on 50-50, and I like to show points. And I think 50-50 too, to see where we're up to, as we're in the now, right? So I want to show a point in certain ways, and how I felt and everything, and what I've been through, and what people would usually do as well, as we're all human. But then, near the end, and when you know when something's going to happen, I started thinking different, right? As well as moving in actions in automatic mode of human, right? Of what you do to defend yourself and in certain moods. Now, in a lot of people's perception, and if you knew that I had knives here, so say you watch my videos, you might, and you only know a short bit of me, so you can't get a real perception unless, the longer you know them, that's why your family know you best, and it depends on how much, and the family members that see you the most know you the best, because it depends on how much you're around, and then you love her and so on. Of all your actions and why you might be even doing some actions, stuff like that. But a lot of people might believe, and even the police, as I've videoed, about my knives. I've got knives and stuff like that. So the police put it down. It's not picking up those babies. And the police would put down, he's a dangerous man, like the lady with an axe, or the person with an axe. And the poor tragedy that happened not long ago. And so with me, knowing all that, and having a dog that will defend its owner, right? When things go down. Knowing all that, should you enter such a house on low pretenses, right? Because if you do, things can go wrong. Does it look good? Because in the end, why did you enter the house? Could someone debate that you could have done other steps instead? And if they could, then you could be in trouble, couldn't you? When it comes to the pretense of why you entered something in certain circumstances, right? Was it just on someone's word? Did you know? All that kind of stuff, right? Because you don't just take people's words, right? You go step by step, slowly and surely when it comes to big deals that can turn out to be big deals too. Right? Otherwise, things can fail, as I've just talked about a previous sad story that could have been handled differently. And others, and they keep happening, as things are not getting handled differently and getting seen their way, like Black Betty's. You know, doesn't mean it's a way, doesn't mean it's the right way. And so, with me with knives, a cop with negative bad perceptions, and what I know with society, and with her, say he's a little bit like his stepdad. An old stepdad, sorry. But I can still always call him a stepdad because I've got stepbrothers now, so he's always a stepdad. Some will say, oh, stepdad. Yeah, baby. Is that they will probably say he could have a knife. They could even set up too. You got to watch yourself that they have cops. They might set you up, but I'll just go negative thinking, cop. Is that they might think you might have a knife on you, so they might pull out a gun. They might do bigger steps of procedure. As I was talking about, you got to be careful about certain procedures and steps. And a vicious dog. So once they come in, they now have the right, because of all that, which I know, to, if the dog comes at them, to shoot the dog, right? Because there'll be self-defense now. But if you think back in the whole story, as long as they did all the right steps, that's when it happens. If they don't, that's when it'll actually look bad for them and become even a worse story than what they could have had. Right? So they should thank some people for a certain outcome not happening. Because you might look at their story for these police that are, like the story I was talking about, what outcomes happen to them if they find out they did the wrong thing, right? And so what I did is I went out and stood out just not only get my dog not killed, not only to protect myself, maybe set up or shot, right? Getting the perception taken wrong in the moment, which is a big risky thing, and you don't know what training they've had, and if they haven't had a very efficient training, like a lot of places around the world, it's not going to be a good outcome. And a lot of people don't even get the good training right either. And so I stepped outside, I made a decision. And I changed from one look to another. Some people could start saying, oh, he's got, what do they call it? Double personality and all this kind of thing. No, you could look at it that way. That's your perception. Right? But it's how you calm down. I could explain the whole videos if they want, from the police car to outside of their scenes. I'll explain to you step by step if they want that, on why I did certain things and how I stopped and why I said things and all that kind of stuff. If they ever want to know. It's got nothing to do with craziness. Bit to do with love. Actually, probably a fair bit to do with love. Right? And seeing and looking, finding out perceptions. What do you reckon would went down, people? Do you reckon when it comes to doing the right thing, and you know it's happening, so once you know you got to do a thing, otherwise this whole thing will happen, because this step has just started to in your house, so you need to do a right step. What's the best step? Calm step. You can come out and be calm, right, and talk to them. Right? You can do that. It's probably the best. But if you're not in an emotional state, but I was in an emotional state a bit, and I also wanted to show a point and wanted to feel a point, as I've been talking about it previously before then, and still now. About I'll change it and pull out the feelings, and they're all real. All you have to do is just see how they see it, and if they grab you and pull you and trying to get you, when you just go, I'm alright, and that's how I went out at first, you can start to see, and then you pull back and you start to see what soul they've got, and then you can really use your emotions, because you can see by their actions, and that can upset you. Definitely if you're already an emotional person that can feel and see and have a lot of emotions and already have had a lot of issues. Trying to get the birds coming in there. I've got one there. They're not in certain right spots, they just don't come up on this phone. But you know what I mean. And so that's why we always do training. Try to take steps slowly. When you listen to people, always make sure you get facts and what you listen to. If you make a big incident, always think, what can incidents be? It might be small now, but can it be big? And things like that is what certain leaders and people and things that people need to think about before they do certain things. Anyway, have a good one, and bye-bye, and learn from our mistakes. We'll all make mistakes, and if we don't want to learn it and hide it, then people won't really learn properly. And even the person themselves, even though they say they will, they don't properly, or the people around them, and they don't show very good learning by hiding things when it comes to what people should know, when it comes to hurting people. Right? That's one thing that people always say, can it hurt people? We should talk because it can hurt people. Right? Not talk because it can hurt them financially or anything like that. So much things. The most important is, does it physically hurt people? That needs to go out. Those things shouldn't be hit at all. Right? As they're physically hurting people. Right? Have a good one. And then you've got emotional. And they're just as bad next on the line. Right? And if it's both, it's even worse. See ya. Perceptions. What do you reckon? 13 minutes and counting. See ya. Here comes one now. I want to come over and say hello. If I leave the door open, see people have chickens and stuff. I said bye and I'm still here. I swear these pigeons will come straight in. Ooh, hello baby. Yeah, definitely when you sit and you're not so dangerous, I'm moving around a bit more. They will come to you. If you want a bird to come to you, they're definitely here. And if they know you, well I do, I just go sit out there. They pretty much come right up around you. Stay there long enough at the right time. You might even be able to feed one. I'm probably coming up to that kind of time and now. So it'll be good to peace out and get to moments where I can sit for hours and do such things more often. Anyway, see you later.